So again, like I said, we have a rather short agenda today, just kind of getting through some updates on where things are at, some things that are coming up for the fall and then into winter. And again, I think we're going to continue to hold these meetings virtually through Zoom, at least more than likely through the end of the year, which we have one meeting left in November, and then I'm sure we'll be reassessing things as we get into the new year. So the first thing on our agenda is to approve meeting minutes. So if I can have someone raise their hand to make a motion to approve minutes, unless there's any comments or corrections that need to be made. If there are, you can put them in the question and answer box. Otherwise, if I can get one, there we go. I have a motion by Keith and a second by Jennifer Wasik. So I'm going to launch the poll. So if you can go ahead and click to approve or not approve the minutes and hit your submit button. All right, great. We are going to move into the next part here, which I'm going to turn things over to Leah to talk about our fall outreach program and the things that she's been working on and stuff that's up on the website now.
Okay, I can't put on my video for some reason, but my face isn't necessarily needed. But hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Leah Rodberry, and I make the education and outreach materials that you can share with your community and residents, and this helps meet the education and outreach requirements for the MS4. So, yep, just sharing with you what we have for fall, and all those materials can be found on our website. If you go into the members section and then under that seasonal campaigns, it's in those green circles right there. Next slide. And that's found at lowerdesplainswatershed.org/seasonal-campaigns. And there you can click on fall or take a look at our other seasons. So that'll bring you to a page that looks like this, and here we have all our resources, which tend to be different blog posts, social media posts that go along with those blogs, and additional materials as well. So this year we have topics that are on, it's all about leaf litter in the fall for the most part. And what we have this year is how to enrich your soil with fall leaves and leaf mold. So not everyone knows what leaf mold is. It sounds kind of strange, but that's just creating a bin or setting aside a space for a pile to put leaves in to decompose over time. And then the next spring or summer, people can incorporate that into their gardens or use as mulch, and it really helps to maintain moisture in the soil. And then we have another topic on fall leaf collection and how that can be used to protect our rivers and streams. It's talking about that Madison leaf litter study that they did. And they had some really interesting findings that I think it's 56% of annual phosphorus in urban stormwater actually comes just from fall leaf litter. So that you can use that information to let people know that leaf litter actually is a big deal and has a big impact on our rivers and streams. And then in that same study, they found that collecting the leaves, especially right before a rain, can do so much to prevent that phosphorus from getting into local waterways. So our blog post is kind of a summary of that study, or that can encourage you to look more into that research. And then we're also incorporating more watershed and stream ecology into our resources because residents connect with different things. And so they might want to know how improving the health of our rivers and streams also encourages or gives a home for dragonflies and fish and all that. So our last blog post is on where do dragonflies go for the winter, and then connects that diversity of aquatic insects and water quality. Next slide. And then so we also have this poster or graphic that's really just a visual and engaging way to like an overview of the whole leaf litter issue, talking about its impacts like local flooding and that it spikes local waterways with nutrients, and then what people can do with their leaves. And then so the biggest change is that this year we translated it into Spanish. So for those of you, have a lot of Spanish speaking residents, this is a really great way to share that information. And then we always create social media graphics, and most of them can be used in conjunction with the blog posts. So you can see like in the first one that could be used to talk about the Madison leaf study, or in the third one, a little graphic about how to, make your own leaf mold bin. And then we have the next slide just is a reminder that we have materials from last year that are still relevant and can be used, and just talking about more of the connection between leaves and water quality and getting into more detail on that, as well as using leaves as a resource in your yard, and then talking specifically about storm drains, and it talks about how they can be clogged and that causes local flooding, and then also the water quality element there as well. So those still can be used. And then I think the next slide is just we're already thinking about winter. Those temperatures are already dropping, and we just wanted to let you know that we still have, the salt scatter cups and the bookmarks that are available. We have them now and can get them to you. There are less opportunities for, to hand these out in person, but we do have them for you. So if you contact me or Jennifer, we can get those resources to you. And also wanted to highlight saltsmart.org, which is live now. So you can check out any of that chloride information there, as well as registration for our de-icing workshops, which we'll talk about later in our agenda. So just know that we're already thinking about winter, and information about chlorides will be coming soon.
Yeah, and if, and I know Leah's going to talk a little bit, continuing about, getting your input, but if there are specific topics kind of within the snow and ice realm that you feel would be useful to highlight in any of our outreach materials, or if there are things you want to work on with us, particularly, in thinking about winter, please contact Leah, and we will work with our members to either customize some materials or focus in on an area or topic that would be really helpful to you.
Yeah, definitely. And then always put a little mention about our Facebook page. So you can like us on Facebook, Lower Des Plaines Watershed Group. If you search that, you'll find it. And I just think it's a really great way to see examples about how we're using and how you can use these resources that we create. So here's just an example. Like, so if you follow our page, we post about once a week. And so you can see these social media posts and blog posts and other materials in action. So you can either share that directly with the share button, or you can just use that as inspiration to share on your own pages. Then do we have a poll, Jennifer, or?
Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and launch it. So like Leah said, we have the poster, the leaf poster that we did in Spanish, but we would really like to know if there are other communities, or what you guys think about that, as far as like, would you be interested in more materials in Spanish or another language for that matter? Okay, I think we got everybody. Thank you. Cool. And again, like we said, if there's other materials, right now we're working on winter, but if you have thoughts, if you're kind of thinking about summer right now, because that's where we're at, or going into fall, if you have other ideas or thoughts, please contact Leah. We have these, like for fall, all those materials are already up on the website, but that's not to say that if comments come in or things come up that we can't add, particularly as far as social media posts go. We can still add to those even though we're kind of already kind of thinking forward into winter, or we can keep track of ideas for next year as well. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, so there's Leah's contact information. You can also find that on the website, or you can contact me as well. I can get stuff to Leah, but we're definitely interested in your input and the work that we do in this area. Our biggest focus is to help support communities, particularly through their MS4, and just increase awareness about water quality issues in general. So any kind of feedback that we can get from our members is really helpful. All right, thank you, Leah.
Yep.
I'm going to just move into a quick kind of overview of the bioassessment from this year. So this year we were focusing on Hickory Creek, as well as we did some resampling on the main stem displays due to some weather issues last year. We weren't able to complete all of the sampling that we had planned. So we worked on that as well with both the crew from MBI, from Midwest Biodiversity Institute, and with Microbac Laboratories. So all the water chemistry collections and analysis for Hickory Creek sites were completed by Microbac, and that sampling is finished, and we're kind of getting all the last of the data in for that. Crews from Midwest Biodiversity Institute have been here through the summer. So they did the 15 of 22 main stem stations on the Des Plaines River. So that was kind of our resampling. So they did a pass on fish. They did the macroinvertebrates, which all of that has been completed. And there were 5 rounds of water chemistry that were collected, as well as which there's one set of collections that are still, they'll be done, I think, by the end of September is the plan for that. So they'll be out here one more time for that. And the first round of all of the fish was done for Hickory Creek. Macroinvertebrates and habitat sampling has been completed. I believe they will, again, also be out here one more time to do some additional fish collection on sites on Hickory Creek where we were going to do 2 passes. So overall, weather has held out for us fairly well this year. Actually very well for the expanded dissolved oxygen monitoring that we were working on this summer. So this data will help go towards some of our NARP development, looking at how dissolved oxygen and chlorophyll A are connected within our streams, which we needed low flows and warm conditions, which with the lack of rain all through August made for perfect sampling conditions for that work. So I had staff here at the Conservation Foundation. So we had Alex Handel, which is he's our new Watershed tech who came on earlier this year, who's working with Lower DuPage, Lower Des Plaines, and DRCW. And then also Dina DeHulik, who is also helping, is on staff now with Lower Des Plaines Watershed Group, particularly around issues surrounding the NARP. So we went out and collected data at 11 sites that we identified through Hickory Creek. And the MBI staff had 7 sites that they collected the same sort of data on the main stem. So things have been going very well as far as sampling goes this year. We're getting started on doing our fecal coliform sampling. So we have 10 sites, 7 on Hickory Creek and 3 on the Des Plaines River that we'll be getting in the 5 samples in 30 days. So that'll be started next week. We'll get that completed within that 30-day window. And then we'll be out doing some sediment sampling on Hickory Creek, which will be more than likely happening in October. want to make sure that we get the fecal coliform sampling completed. So overall, I think a pretty successful year as far as sampling goes. Next year, we'll be working on the remaining tributaries for the Des Plaines River. So mostly in Will County, we'll have 2 of them in DuPage County, Flag Creek and Sawmill Creek. And then the remaining tributaries in Will County. So kind of direct trips in the Lamont, Lockport area. And then south of Hickory Creek. So I think Sugar Run and Grant Creek, and then Long Run and a couple of the other smaller creeks on the other side. So we'll be working on that this fall as well, just kind of getting out and visiting some of those sites and getting prepped for next year's sampling season. And then that will complete our first round of water or bioassessment sampling for the Lower Des Plaines as a whole. So as Leah mentioned, and we've been pushing this information out, we do have all of our registration materials up at saltsmart.org. Because of the COVID situation this year, we moved to the virtual setting. So it's the same workshops that we've held in the past, particularly last year where we had Fortin Consulting do both the public roads and the parking lots and sidewalks workshops. So it'll still be, it'll be a live workshop, just virtually. People will be able to ask questions. One of the key things I think this year, and it was a little challenging to figure out kind of how to come up with a way as far as fees went, and decided between working with Lower DuPage, Lower Des Plaines, DRCW, the Conservation Foundation, and a partnership that the Conservation Foundation has with Kane County, that we all pulled together to fund 3 workshops. So instead of having workshops in Will County and DuPage County and Kane County, because they're virtual this year, we were able to just pull those together. We decided to offer 2 public roads ones, which are the same workshop, just offered on 2 different days, just to give people options as far as their scheduling went. And the registration fee is $40. And that is basically per organization. So when you register for it, you'll get the link to sign into the webinar, and that link can be shared with your staff. You can post it in a training room or your boardroom, as have your staff come together in whatever number is safe capacity wise as far as social distancing goes. But you should be able to get a lot of your staff trained this way, even if you have to share the links so they can do it remotely. But I think this is a great opportunity to get as many folks trained as we can. I think there were a few other things that I wanted to mention with this. So we do have a list of questions, since things are a little bit different this year. So if you just scroll down on that workshops page at saltsmart.org, we kind of have all of the information up there. I think we have most of the questions covered, just to at least kind of get through most people's, just with it being different. So we're definitely encouraging public works staff, but this is a great opportunity to have any management or administrative staff, anybody who's interacting with the public or with customers, to participate in the training and gain some knowledge. This definitely counts towards your MS4 requirements. This training would count towards a chloride variance as far as the annual staff training goes. Like I said, it will be a live training, so if there's questions, there'll be a question and answer box, and there's staff there. They're going to be focused on answering those questions. Unlike other webinars that we've been doing here through the Conservation Foundation, this one will not be available as a recorded webinar, as the training materials are kind of a proprietary part of Fortin Consulting's business. So the trainings themselves will not be recorded. So if you want to participate in them, you really need to participate in the live portion of that. We do have 4 professional development hours as part of this training. And if you're interested in those certificates, you can contact us. So I think that kind of covers most of the questions around the workshop. We would definitely like some help with getting the word out. So anybody who's out there that, you know, if your community contracts with snow removal companies, or you know of companies that operate in your communities, to get the word out about these workshops. And you know, we would love to get more private de-icing companies involved, particularly with the parking lots and sidewalks, getting the word out to your township partners. Like I said, this is just a great opportunity this year with the way we're offering it and the way the pricing is set up, that it's you can get a whole lot of staff trained for the $40 registration fee. So again, help us get the word out for these workshops. I don't have a whole lot of information as far as updates go. I know that hearing briefs were submitted to the Illinois Pollution Control Board on August 21st. I know from questions, I had gone to the public hearings back in February, which seems so long ago. And there was a lot of pushback on the authority to force petitioners to join a watershed or join a group, so a chloride work group focused on items, as well as pushback around kind of education and outreach around the chloride issue. Both of those things did remain in the language. I think there was also some concern about some additional monitoring, which MWRD is already doing monitoring in a number of places. And so there's been some agreements put in place that they will continue to do that type of monitoring and actually share that data through their annual reporting. There is a draft of what the proposed, kind of final proposed language for the variance from IEPA. So that is, I've been able to read through parts of that. So I think we have kind of enough direction at this point where we could get our chloride committee back together. So I'd like to propose a meeting date on October 12th at 2 p.m. I will contact those who have been a part of some of our original, like we met once or twice about a year ago around chloride issues with the chloride variance. So I'll be contacting those folks. If there's anybody else who's interested in participating on that committee, probably send out an email out there generally looking for anybody else who's interested in participating. But I really like to start looking through that language and how we can start being prepared to make sure that we will be able to address things as this group, the Lower Des Plaines Watershed group, will be the group that will cover the Lower Des Plaines portion of the chloride variance. So I want to kind of, again, go through and review what requirements did stay within. I know there were some changes, so that's one of the reasons why we were kind of waiting to go forward on this stuff, but we didn't want to get too far ahead and then have things look very different when the final language came out. So like I said, I would definitely like to get that group back together, and we can start looking at, if we can put together maybe at least a general template on the pollutant minimization program plan that everybody's going to be required. So at least we're covering similar information. So when we put these things together in kind of from a reporting standpoint, it'll be easier to do that. And I think the same thing with the annual report in formulating some sort of a template, because in the end, we'll have to summarize all the annual reports. And it would be a whole lot easier if we at least had kind of key information in a similar format coming from everybody. And as part of that, this is just kind of a list of our current members who are a part of the petition, And then the other communities and organizations that are petitioners for the variance, but have not become a part of the group yet. So in some of these, there's kind of a line in between whether they would participate in the lower Des Plaines versus in the Chicago Area Waterways group. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of clarification that if you're discharging into both, do you need to belong to both, or is it a matter if you're just in one or the other, which would seem to make sense that, if you're in one or the other, you're going to be doing the same reporting and things either way. But this will potentially bring in a few new members into the group as when that chloride variance comes into play. All right. So I believe that is all I had on the agenda. I don't know if there's any other information or questions that folks have or anything that people would like to bring up. Please feel free to add it into the question and answer section. At this point, I don't see any questions at all. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. We are looking at a couple of different options for some presentations for our November meeting. So kind of keep an eye out for that. We definitely want kind of get back into a normal schedule of presentations more broadly on the watershed. And if you have any ideas or if you know any projects or people who you've seen present interesting topics around water quality, around nutrients, ecology projects, things like that, please let me know, because we're definitely looking at trying to put together a good schedule of speakers for next year's meetings. All right, with that, I will ask for a motion to close our meeting. All right, I have Jennifer Wasik and seconded by Zachary Brown. So I am going to guess that everybody is in agreement to end the meeting. So thank you again for your time, and we will talk to you soon in November. Thanks.